Go now. They'll send you back to prison.
Remember, public and brutal.
It's a good story. It's a very well-written story. It's a great book. It was a good movie the first time, and it's a very good script.
It had a relatively strong story, very simple story, but I could deal with romance, and I could deal with action, I could deal with suspense. Just all different aspects of filmmaking was what attracted me.
I mean, it has an enormous story drive to it, narrative drive, this piece, and the characters are pretty original. It doesn't really beg the first movie at all.
You know what the overall direction is, but sometimes you get suckered down the wrong way. And then you say, wow, isn't that interesting?
There's nothing but the present for the character. There's no past and there's no future because your life is on the line all the time. So that makes living immediate and exciting.
Once you've got your leads cast, it's important, I always feel, to surround them with the best possible quality of actor. Because what happens then is it elevates everyone. So you're basically, you're trying to create a situation where the group is going to lift everyone.
I thought I was going to be working with Sidney Poitier and Richard Gere and Diane Venora, and then I'd see Richard and Sidney and I'd say, how's your movie going? And I'd say, fine. And they'd ask me how my movie was going. But we all worked in separate little units, separate little compartments of the film.
Yeah, everyone asked me, so what's it like working with Bruce? I said, I don't know, I haven't seen him. We have 2 movies here. So he came in and I said, how's your movie going? I said, great, how's yours? Great, great.
Basically, you get your actors and you get your costume designer and you get your set designer. They go off and they do their own detailed research about their own departments.
I did some very specific preparation that well, frankly, if I told you about it, I'd have to kill you.
To play the reality of the IRA, I went to Ireland and talked to people there, talked to people ex-IRA, present IRA guys in the States. Read a lot of books, found the right voice that I wanted to use. Brendan Gunn, this wonderful dialect coach I found in Dublin.
I've read a lot of books. I continue to read all the time. I have engaged a speech coach who takes me through the dialect and created a dialect so it wouldn't be upper class or just flat out peasant, but kind of in the middle.
My character is a guy who is upholding the law, and he is a remarkably interesting man. He's a man of many colors. Once you get to know him, you begin to see that there's more than meets the eye with this man. At least that's the way I approach him as an actor, anyway.
The character of the Jackal is what really interested us. I mean, he's such a great character, and it was very much one of those, they almost got him, then they don't.
Well, he's a good guy. He's really, basically a nice guy at art.
I've been wanting to play a villain on film for a long time now, and this seemed like a fun character to play.
So much of what I do is not acting in scenes, is movement, and you see me doing things that are sometimes mysterious and sometimes explained and sometimes not explained until much later in the film.
Pre-vol, it's a pre-vol power unit right here. Just some standard red house paint. Roll it, $39.95. Call me. I'm your pal, Bruce Willis, and I'll show you how to paint any new or late model Ford Chevy. Action.
The Jackal, by the very nature of the piece, is a cipher. But he's so competent and so, well, for better lack of a better word, cool, that you end up rooting for him to some extent. Because it is just one man against everybody's after him and he's alone.
It's a businessman. It's just about money, terrorism. Really, when you reduce it down to its lowest common denominator, it's about money.
Well, I would love to stay and do a photo shoot and
No, I don't want any Canadian. I want American money, and I want it now.
American money.
They don't pay off the Brits. I want to tell you that right now.
The secret is to try and find what each individual actor wants or needs, and you turn the key and you rev them up. We were all on the same boat. We all had to travel to some bad hotels and some really out-of-the-way places. And what tends to happen, contrary to a lot of popular belief, it really bonds you in a way, you know.
Well, here we are in Toronto.
Well, at this stage of the game, I'm not quite sure where we are, I think.
Welcome to Saskatchewan.
We're in London. Here we are.
I think it's London. Either that or this is a painted backdrop.
Here in Montreal. Montreal. Speak a lot of French up here.
The production of the film was about 20 weeks. We shot 6-day weeks. And on the 7th day, you recce for more locations.
This film was all over the place. We started with, I think, 13 or 14 locations and ended up with about that or maybe a couple more, but we traveled quite a bit. The whole film moves from city to city.
We started off in Montreal and went down through Chicago and Washington, Wilmington, Richmond, and then we ended up back in Europe and shot in Helsinki and Moscow and London. It was a tough one just because you were moving around all the time. You couldn't get settled and the crew was changing apart from the core people.
Now, what Michael wants in this shot, do that thing you're doing before in case where you get there.
Let's just do one more. Yeah, while we're here. Because I know the crew needs another one.
I love this.
Once you commit to making a film that has a lot of detail and a lot of size and scope with extras and what have you, you have to maintain that kind of discipline throughout the film. You can't cut corners many places.
Gunfire!
Now, other than pressure, there's nothing going through there.
It's magic. Magic. Good night. Thank you very much, sir.
I'm not, I don't think, a control freak, although I think most of my crew would disagree with me. I tend to like to keep a loose hand on the throttle. I think it's important that you make room for good people to do their work.
I think you have a very creative director here, and he will make absolutely sure you get real good value for the money, and you'll certainly know where you are, and some very clever and very good shots.
He's not a man to compliment you, because he says, look, I don't give compliments. You've got to be confident in yourself, knowing that if I don't say anything, it's cool. I said, I come from enormous rejection, darling. I don't need a compliment. I'm cool. So whenever he said cut, I didn't go, oh, how was it, Michael, how was it? I knew what he meant. Didn't need it. You know, if it works, otherwise he'd say, let's do that again. He's not going to let it look bad.
Exceptional. Very nice. Okay, and cut it.
Michael's work has always been about the people. I think he had a little caution about taking on a picture like this, which in some hands might be pyrotechnic.
Michael had not only the choreography of all the movement of the Jackel around the world, but also the shooting two separate films at the same time, shooting what my character was doing and also what the good guys who were trying to catch me were doing. It's a lot to keep in your head, and he's worked very hard on it, and I have a lot of admiration for him.
Because a film is really, really made in the editing room, it behooves you, it's just smart to get as much material as you can so that you can construct it later. And in that way, you then listen to a lot of what the creative people are saying, and you try and shoot a few alternatives to things just to give yourself an option.
You think he's the one who's up against it? It's the other way around.